Welcome to the Online Success Journey podcast, your opportunity to discover and learn from entrepreneurs like yourself. This is not your typical podcast, but a place where you can get the real story and find out how real people encounter speed bumps and detours, but journey through to find success. Now here's your host for the Online Success Journey podcast, Patience.
Hello everyone and welcome to Online Success Journey. This is episode 267. Today we have Maxine Nwaneri, the founder of The Future is Great, coach and consultant. Her passion is helping clients overcome difficult circumstances so that they can thrive, not just survive during challenging times and experience peace, purpose and success. Hello Maxine.
Hi Patience. Thank you for having me today.
Thank you for coming. I know the client is anxious to hear your story. So let's get started with the basics. Can you tell my client a little bit about your background, about what you did before you started your own business?
Yeah, sure. It's kind of a very bizarre story. I'm going to take you back about 20 years. So at this point, I am living in London and basically homeless. I have nowhere to live. I am basically digging myself into rock bottom. I dropped out of school. I had basically let down every single person who cared about me because at this point I was a teenager who thought she knows better than her parents and she wants freedom. So one bad decision after another led me to the point where I was with a friend of mine at the time who was living this same sort of lifestyle. And she basically said to me, listen, we're down to our last few pounds. Now, Patience and I, we're in the UK, right? But if you're not, this is the money we spend here. So we're down to our last few pounds. She's like, let's go meet this guy to interview for a job. And, we don't have to do too much and we can make a lot of money. Do you want to come? So I was like, yes, of course I want to come. So I went along with her rather naively. And basically I think the depth of what I was getting myself into didn't really hit me until we walked into the room. And the smell of the place literally hit me in the face. And I began to shake and panic, thinking, how in the world did I end up here? I began to visibly shake as I looked at this person that we were supposed to interview with. And he was the most terrifying individual I'd ever seen at this point. I began to panic. My heart was beating, almost like it was going to jump out of my chest. I was thinking, oh my God, how did I end up here? I wanted to be a doctor growing up. What am I doing here? My parents took me to church, for goodness sake. What am I doing here? And I must have kind of zoned out for a few minutes because the next thing I remember was this guy basically saying to me, you do know how much you're supposed to charge, right? Now, those who haven't figured this out, this was not like somebody trying to hire out for a decent job. This was bad stuff. So I was freaking out thinking I have no idea what to charge. I didn't know where to look, what to do, basically. I never felt so ashamed and so alone. So I just stood there, literally with my mouth open, no sound coming out, just shaking, thinking, I just can't do this. I just can't do this. And it was like he read my mind because the next thing that he says to me is, what choice do people like you have anyway? And I remember thinking, oh my gosh, if this man had slapped me in the face, it would have hurt less because actually that was the truth. I had basically totally ruined my life. I was working in Starbucks before. I didn't even have that job anymore. I literally seemed like I had no choice. And just when I was stood there shaking, panicking, thinking, oh my God, how can this be my life? How in the world do I get out of this? I heard a voice within me say, this is not who you're meant to be. You're meant for so much more. And basically it was I looked around me. I was like, who is this voice? I had no idea what this voice is, but I want so desperately for this voice to be true. So I decided to believe it. And it gave me the courage I needed to turn and run out of that room into the freezing cold street. I still had no money. I had no plans. I had nothing, just this knowing I was meant for more. And basically trusting that voice, following that voice, I found out I was able to get back into the school system, graduate at the top of my class. I went on to the University of Cambridge for my MBA. This catapulted my career internationally, where I did amazing things around the world. I got, highlighted as one of the top 30 under the age of 40 in my industry, met and married the love of my life, and then we started having kids. I've been blessed beyond my wildest imaginations because of really just knowing, clinging to that truth that I was meant for more. So all of this is getting somewhere to my business, Patience. So yeah, anyway, at this point, I'm living the dream now. I have the husband, I have the house, I have the new baby, my daughter, Chiamaka. Her name, by the way, means God is good. God is beautiful, because that's what I found to be true. So anyway, I have everything at this point. But as most new moms experience, the child is not sleeping. I go from this, busy job, flying around the world, representing this top company as one of their leaders, to now being a stay-at-home mom for 1 year. and I was miserable. And I just thought, oh my God, what is wrong with me? I have everything that so many people want, but I was miserable. I didn't know at the time. I was like postnatal depression is what I had, but I was just a mess. So I remember one night I was in my bathroom just crying my eyes out after feeding my daughter and just thinking there has to be more to life than this. There just really has to be more to life than this. And it was as if I was back in that room that I described to you initially, because in my mind, the thought came, well, what choice do you have anyway? Isn't this what people go through? Like when you have family, you give up your dreams, you give up yourself, you give up your life, right? Up after kind of getting this guidance of 10, 15-hour study, I'd never seen a Facebook ad in my life. I see the first ever Facebook ad that says, do you have 10 to 15 hours a week for part-time studies? I was like, yes.
Wow, that's a great background, Maxine. What is the most dangerous belief an entrepreneur can have?
Yeah, this is such a good question, Patience. And I think, to be honest, I think it's the most dangerous belief anyone can have. And that is that seeing is believing. And what I mean by this is that basically you're making decisions based on what you see. So if you think, back to the situation I just shared with you about my story, when I was stood in that room and this guy says to me, oh, what choice do people like you have anyway? And, everything in a natural, everything I could see said that he was right. People like you don't amount to nothing. People like you can't get any legal work. If I made my decisions based on what I could see, quite frankly, I'd be dead right now. So for me, I would say entrepreneurs, online entrepreneurs, anybody else need to really flip that to believing is seeing. So when I heard within myself that I was meant for more, nothing I could see said that was true, but I chose to believe it. And I think that, with online business, with anything that you're trying to be successful in, you've almost got to make a decision from a place of what you want to be, where you want to go, rather than where you are and what you see.
Why do you do what you do, Maxine?
It's so, for me, it's not even work. I feel like it's a calling. There's nothing I love to do. When they say to you, find something you love doing and then just do it, something you do for free. I've been blessed to find that in the work I do. For me, there's nothing I love more than helping my clients achieve results that they actually thought were impossible. I mean, I regularly, and this is a regular occurrence in my business, sit down and cry tears of joy when my clients send me like, oh my God, this happened, or I took action. Like I often, like at least once a week, cry from how much it moves me. So to be able to do this as work, to me, it's such a privilege. And I think I use the word calling because right now we're living at a time where things are so hard. I don't know anybody on the planet in some way, shape or form that is not going through something difficult, this year. And when things have been so tough for so long, people stop dreaming. It's all about trying to survive or just trying to, wait for the next new normal. But what if it never comes? So for me, I see my calling is to get people to get out of that survival mode, inspire them, invite them to dream, and then enable them to make that dream a reality and then celebrate it with them. To me, that's the greatest privilege on earth. And, for me, seeing dreams realized like that, it moves me to the core, not just for my clients. So we are a social business as well. So literally part of the revenue that we come in, at least 10% of our revenue goes off to support people in need. So whether that's widows, that's orphans, that's homeless people. So their dreams matter too. So why I do what I do is people's dreams matter, whether they're my clients or the people that benefit from our business in terms of the social aspects of our business.
Let's put man aside. How do you know you're successful?
Yeah. And to be honest, I've even stopped looking at money. I love this question. I've stopped looking at money as a measure of success because I've had nothing and I've had a lot and everything in between. For me, true success is, two P's. I'd say, are my priorities in order and do I have peace? And by that, I mean, let me start with the priorities. So for me, that voice that said to me in that room, you're meant for more, and it snatched me from the claws of death, quite frankly. I've come to know that voice as the voice of God. And, for me, growing up, my parents had taken me to church, but, God was like my grandfather, like it was my parents' God. But I've come to know God on that journey from like rock bottom to anything I could call success in my life. I've come to know that by following that voice and getting to know God as my father. So my relationship with God comes first above anything else. Then, there's me in terms of next priority, looking after myself, maintaining great health, self-care, so that I have something to give. Then in terms of priorities, next is me and my husband, ensuring we have a great relationship. We, parent our children well. Then there's my children, my business, everything else, right? So there's a set priority and there's got to be harmony. There's been times, in my life where I've let work. So I wasn't in business at the time. I let work take over my life. And I ended up burnt out, stressed out in hospital. So when your priorities, and it's different for everybody, right? When your priorities are out of whack, you're not successful. So for me, having those priorities, or as I've listed them in place, and I know that I have them in place by how I'm using my time, right? So, literally I'm up every morning, 5 o'clock usually. And the first, at least 1.5 to 2 hours is me and God getting divine guidance for my life, for my business, for the day. And I look at how I use my time. That is reflected in the priorities. So that's how I know I'm successful, that the way I use my time actually reflects the priorities I say I want for my life. And then the peace part of it, knowing I'm successful, is, what peace do I have that I've done what I need to do? Because I think in business, anybody that, works in their own business or, leads their own business, there's always something to do. Like the to-do list never ends, right? Because you're going to be hiring someone to do something, or, there's something that you're doing to, grow the business, whatever. The to-do list never ends. So you could easily work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and never stop doing stuff. So the piece I like to, look at as a way of measuring my success is, do I have peace? I've done what I'm meant to do each day. So like in that time in the morning when I'm getting my spiritual divine guidance, I have my business plan, I have my goals, I have everything, but I present them to God and say, what is the key thing, like the key 3 things I need to do today, or the key 1 thing I need to do today? And sometimes I get guidance for like a random thing. So as long as I do that 1 divinely guided thing, or those 3 divinely guided things, I know that today's been successful. And I can pick up the 1,000,001 to-dos tomorrow or whenever I get guided to do them. So peace that I'm doing what I'm meant to do when I'm meant to do them.
Can anyone be an entrepreneur, or are some people more cut out for it than others?
Such a good question. I think anyone can be anything that they want, for sure. But I don't know that everybody's cut out for it. I think everybody's created differently and everybody's wired differently. And I think, you can do it if you want to, why not? But not everybody's wired for it, and not everybody's called to do it. I think, there's, quite frankly, right now with the pandemic going on, people are called to be doctors, to be nurses, to be the people, that enable us to have food to buy, whether that's delivered to us or in the supermarket. So there's different callings of people. We can't all be, doing things. Of course, the people had to start the business of the supermarket, so they're like called to business, but there's people to work in it. So I think anybody can do it, because any skill can be learned if you want to learn it. But I think people are definitely not all cut out for it, because as an entrepreneur, it's not for the faint-hearted, like you have a plan, you're working it, and things could change overnight. Like I think everyone in business had to really think, what am I going to do differently when COVID-19 changed the whole world? So not everybody can stomach that. So I think it takes a certain type of person to be able to pivot as you need to, just to use that word, and just handle the risk involved and the investment involved. It takes a lot of work, time, money investment to do this. Not everybody wants to do that, or is called to do that, quite frankly.
I know you've been a coach and a consultant for a while now, but what setbacks or challenges do you find your clients experience?
Oh, so many. So, I've been talking about the pandemic. So of course, like many of my clients are professional women who are, working. A lot of them have kids, some very young kids. And, before all of this started this year, there was talk about, how do I find, better work-life balance? Well, now that a lot of people are having everybody at home and work is at home, and the lines between work and family life are totally blurred, people just feel like, oh my goodness, I thought I was struggling with work-life balance before. Now it's crazy. Like they're always on at work, and then they feel like they're failing their family because they have no time for the family, or vice versa. They're failing work because they have to, look after young kids. So my clients are typically struggling with, I'm failing everywhere, working at home. We've also had, a lot of the racial tensions that happen in the world around, after George Floyd was murdered. And he, of course, was one of many people that have been killed unfairly. So there's, people of color. I have clients from all backgrounds, actually, literally from all over the world. But, women of color that are my clients, like myself, they felt this deeply. It's very painful. And, some of them are, they say we have kids. We're in schools that there's systemic racism in these schools. How do I address these? So literally any challenge that people could experience in work and or life is something I see come up in either one of my coaching calls or, some of the offerings I create for my clients.
What have you learned from business as a whole?
Oh my goodness. Wow. Let me think about this. It's such a good question. So much. I think it's like a school every day. But I'd probably say the biggest learning for me is failure, as people define it. It's nothing personal. It's just data. So I used to be so scared to do things or to try things because I'd be like, oh my God, what if I fail? And then, in our mind, at least in my mind anyway, if I fail, then it means I'm not good enough somehow. And I take it super personal when something didn't work. And this used to hold me back a lot in the early days. But now I would say my outlook, having been in business for many years now, is that failure is nothing but feedback. Like, it's just data. So when stuff doesn't work, it's just feedback. So just get the help of a coach or a mentor or whoever. Keep listening to your clients and potential clients. Keep tweaking, and then you'll find what works. Because really, business is all about solving problems for people, right? So sometimes you miss it. It's not an attack on you not being good enough. It's just feedback. Tweak it. Do something else till you find what works. So I'd say that's probably my biggest lesson.
Do you have a mentor or a coach in your business?
Oh, yes. I'd never be without one. Yes. Always. I mean, it just makes so much sense because, one of my coaches right now, she always says something, and I have several coaches, like in business and spiritual sense. One of them in particular on the business side, she always says, even the sharpest knife can't sharpen its own handle. So no matter how smart you are, no matter how brilliant you are, you need somebody else. And typically when we're out, we're doing stuff, we all have blind spots. Everybody has blind spots. So there's few things as powerful as, having someone who knows how to do what you're trying to do, that can help you see and avoid blind spots, that can help collapse the timeline of what you're trying to achieve. I wouldn't be without one. And actually, just to kind of go back to something I said earlier, this is a mistake I see people making a lot. When you ask me, what's the biggest belief that, most dangerous belief? A lot of people think, oh, well, I can't afford to, invest in a coach. I can't afford to, get a coach. I think you can't afford not to have a coach because, that point about investing or, making decisions from a place of where you want to be, you can't make a decision from like, oh, I don't have the money right now. If the business owner you want to be is successful, that person can find the resources to get the help they need to fast track their success. So that's the typical way it plays out when people, fall prey to the belief of what they see, like the bank account means I can't get coaching support. I think about who you want to be. Does that person say, hey, I can't invest in the advisory I need for my business? Because that's what it is, really. And typically, if you want to be successful, you can afford that.
What is the most valuable thing your mentor and coaches has told you?
Oh my gosh, wow. Oh, wow. So many brilliant things. You know what? Yeah, I think I'm going to go back to the one that one of my earliest coaches told me, a lady by the name of Danny Johnson. And she basically said something along the lines of, and this is biblically based, she says, be faithful with the little, and then you'll be made ruler over much. So what she was, I can't remember what it was in my personal life that we were working on at the time, but this has stuck with me. A lot of the time, when we are working on something, when you're doing something new, and like you just have a few people in it. Like, for right now, for example, I have a membership program I've just recently launched in my business, and there's just a few people in it. This thing will scale to thousands of people. There's no doubt in my mind. But Danny's advice of being faithful with the little before being made ruler over much is so poignant to me now, because the temptation might be for me to look at, okay, this is a low cost membership program right now. There's just a few people in it right now. Like, it's just, why spend time on this? But actually for me, I'm looking at what sort of results do I want these people to have in their life. I pour into this thing like it's the biggest revenue generator for me. It is not by any stretch of the imagination, but I'm being faithful with that. And I think if you try and cut corners and be like, oh, well, it's just these few people, then you'll never get the chance to be ruler over much. So just taking excellence in the little things, being a person of integrity, being somebody who's solving problems for customers. No customer is irrelevant, right? So just ensuring that you over deliver. I want my clients to come to me and feel like, wow, look at the value versus what I'm paying. So that is the attitude I pour into everything. Every person's a human being, not just a name on my list. So just being faithful with the little and just really nurturing the little is how I've seen it grow exponentially at the right time.
What is one thing no one knows about you?
Oh, wow. Well, I think everybody knows I'm kind of fascinated with the unseen realm. So, what we can see well, maybe they don't know. What we can see right now in terms of I'm looking at my computer, that's where I'm recording this on, and the things that we can see, it's not even up to 1% of what really is. There's a big unseen realm that exists in the spiritual realm. So I'm fascinated by this. I'm addicted to learning about this. So the one thing that people probably don't know about me is that I'm always listening to something or learning about this realm. So typically I have on some teachings or podcasts or something, usually on double speed, because I want to hear twice as many, just learning about how to access the spiritual realm, how we can leverage what we can't see to impact what we can see. And even right now, I'm actually enrolled in a course with another coach, a spiritual coach, learning about prophetic ministry, how you can actually, see into the future and bring revelation to people that gives them hope, that pulls them forward, that helps them, build an inspiring vision to really get out of despair. I'm hoping to bring this prophetic ministry into the work I do, because it's something that's been powerful for me, where I've been in difficult situations and I couldn't see a way out. So prophetic ministry has been something that was a life changer for me. So I'm fascinated, almost addicted to the spiritual realm. And I'm actually training in prophetic ministry right now and looking for ways to bless my clients even more with it.
You are really busy. Wow. I don't know where you get all the time to cram all that in. I think you need to wake up at 3:00. You said people can achieve the impossible. So tell us a few steps what we can take to achieve the impossible.
Yes, I really believe this. So I think the first step, probably the most important step, is to decide that you're going to do it. No matter what it looks like, just decide. And the reason I actually hate sharing that story I did at the beginning because it's so embarrassing still now, but I'm able to refer to it to kind of share a few things, which is why I do that. So for me, again, when I was in that impossible looking situation, I had a decision to make. Am I going to look at my, around me and just believe what I see, or am I going to, believe something else? And I had to make a decision. And to decide literally means, if you look at the word, to literally kill off any other option. So like side, it suggests the death of something. Suicide, means to kill oneself. Homicide, to kill another. Side, kill off. So when you decide, if you want to change an impossible situation, you have got to kill off any other option that you're not going to succeed. So in that moment, whatever you're facing, decide, I'm doing this, even if I die trying. So I'd say that's the number one step. And times where I have been successful at creating the impossible was when I've done that. When I have wavered, like, okay, maybe I'm doing this, or maybe I'm not going to do this, and maybe do I feel like it today? You're never going to achieve impossible wavering like that. But when you kill off any other option, then at least that's a good starting point. And then I'd say next, develop a vision. What is my vision? And you can start small. I'm not saying, try and create world peace necessarily, one step at a time. For me, my biggest vision was, I don't want to work for that guy. That was my biggest vision. And of course, it's kind of grown and grown and grown. Right now, I have huge visions. But whatever it is that you can stretch to, I would say, have a vision and then develop some sort of, practice. So for me, I alluded to my spiritual practice of getting up, connecting with God, connecting to the unlimited possibilities that exist. And then from that space, getting spiritual guidance, divine guidance to see solutions that might not be obvious. And then I'd say probably the final step would be to just take action, get the help of somebody else, coach, mentor, friend, whoever, and, start taking action. In taking that action, you'll have to get rid of people who are, coming against that in some way, whether it's, taking up your time. In my case, when I was changing my life for the better, I had to get rid of people who were, committed to staying in addiction, who were committed to living the kind of life I wanted nothing to do with. I had to get away from those people. So you need to kind of almost do an audit of like, who's around me and are they supporting me in becoming the person I see in my vision? And if they are, great. If they're not, then you need to have some conversations or, just separate yourself from them. But you've got to surround yourself with people that are really in support of you stepping into who you say you want to be. So I would, basically break it down like that. Decide, get a vision, get divine guidance and help, tap into that unlimited power in the unseen realm, get your guidance from there, take action, support yourself with help.
Is that what has contributed to your success so far?
Yeah, big time. Big time. For me, I've had a lot of help. I've had a lot of help from God and from amazing people that, that just helped me so much along the way. And even podcasts like this, I was listening to so many incredible episodes of your previous guests and, just positivity, just tapping into, into things that support who I want to be. That has been instrumental. I don't know that I could have done anything worth celebrating in my life on my own. Not even close.
Wow. Let's talk about your business. Tell us more about it.
Mm-hmm. Sure. So my business, my passion. So it's really focused all around helping people live their best life, both professionally and personally. So like I said, a lot of people are struggling right now and trying to just survive, being in survival mode. It's really geared towards helping them flip that, go from survival or reaction mode to all these things coming at them to be in creation mode. So we do that by helping people through mainly our coaching programs, one-on-one. And I have a membership program as well now where people are not only, getting, courses and teaching from me, they're also benefiting from community. Because the biggest thing I've found, like with this pandemic, is a lot of people felt alone, felt like, oh my gosh, I'm really drowning in my challenges and I'm the worst mother in the world or I'm the worst whatever in the world. And quite frankly, everybody's feeling that and nobody's any of that really. So we get together, we talk about, what's working for people, what's not working for people. And of course, I provide coaching, guidance, resources to help people really thrive and continue to create their best life in spite of whatever's going on in the world. People are waiting for some sort of new normal. I don't believe in that. For me, whatever that looks like, I'm not denying the fact that there's a lot of challenges going on in the world right now, but I cling to the fact that God is the same today, tomorrow, whenever. So that is what I look to for guidance, success principles, and it works regardless of what's going on. So helping people really access that spiritual help and guidance for success in any climate is really what I do, professionally and personal success.
Wow. What type of clientele do you have for your coaching and even your membership?
Yes.
Who can join your membership and who can you work with as well?
Yeah, so the membership right now is attracting mainly professional women who are, most of them are actually mothers. So professional women who are really juggling work, life, and feeling like it's a bit of a challenge. We help them do that and thrive. And in terms of who I work with in one-on-one coaching, it really varies actually. It could be that same individual, professional woman who is looking to, fast track her success with one-on-one support. And we also do a lot of work with companies. So companies bring us in to help their employees with resilience, with work-life balance, run workshops, different things like that. And in that work, I work with some men as well. But really the focus of the business in terms of who we market to, who we work most with, it is the professional woman who is really looking to thrive in all areas of her life.
Any last words of wisdom?
Yeah. So I would say, no matter what is going on, like this has been such a challenging time for everybody. No matter what is going on, if you choose to believe it, anything is possible. You are literally powerful enough to create whatever it is you desire, no matter how bad it looks. I mean, I'll share a bit of a story with you to kind of hopefully leave you with this hope and possibility. So I have two children. I talked about my daughter earlier, I believe. I had a son as well. I have a son. He was born in July last year, 2019. And it was a very, very difficult birth, very difficult. I had this beautiful idea of like a wonderful birth plan of how it was going to be, welcome him into the world with harmony. And it was a total disaster, the opposite of my plan. And I remember the first hour of his life in my plan, I had written that I'd be holding the baby and teaching him to feed, when in actual fact, the first hour of his life, there was medical professionals running around screaming, we're going to lose her. We have to save her life. There had been a mistake that was made. So the first hour of his life, I could just see him across the room screaming while people were running around screaming, trying to save my life. Thankfully, they managed to save my life then. And after a few days, they let us go home. And I was still shaken up by it, but I thought, fine, we're home, we're fine. Now, August 10th, 2019, this is a little over a week later, I wake up in a pool of blood, which is just spreading rapidly. And I had no idea what's going on at this point. So I call my husband over to my side, and he takes one look at me, and I see his face that he is terrified. This guy rarely gets scared. So seeing his face like that made me scared. I was thinking, oh my God, what's going on? So we call 111, which is a number here where we, you call for advice, medical advice, when something's going wrong. The woman at the end of the line, when I told her what's going on, she's like, you don't need advice. You need an ambulance. You are dying. So basically, they call me an ambulance. At this point, when she said you are dying, I feel myself slipping away at this point. I'm like, oh my God. Like, I've lived in several different countries. They say your life flashes before your eyes. I start seeing scenes from different countries, like friends from different countries, Hungary, New York, all of these places slowly coming in and out. And I thought, oh my God, I'm dying. Somehow we managed to get to the bathroom now. The ambulance is now here. They're trying to talk to me. I'm slipping away. Then I sense what I can only describe as an angelic presence on my left saying to me, look up. At this point, I'm like practically gone. I have no strength to look up, but it persists. Look up, look up, look up. Finally, I look up into the room. My son is asleep. And the realization hits me. Oh my gosh, you're this child's only food source. If you die right now, by the time your husband deals with this chaos, goes out to buy the child some food and teaches him to drink, the whole day could be gone. Like, the child will starve. And then my daughter as well, like she's terrified of blood. Like if she sees this, she'll be so freaked out. So looking at my kids, I just suddenly thought, I can't die. Like they need me. My kids need me. And this was like a bolt, like this realization of my kids need me was like a bolt of like supernatural strength from I don't know where. It gave me the strength to start answering the ambulance crew's questions. It gave me the strength to get down into the ambulance, have emergency surgery. I actually managed to feed my son, saying, okay, I don't know where they're taking me, but like in 3 hours, that's his feeding schedule. Find me. He needs to be fed. So had surgery, basically there was some placenta issue that was causing the hemorrhage. They fixed it, thank God, for the wonderful NHS. And then they basically wheeled me out of theater. And then, my husband was there with the baby. He handed me the baby. I looked up at the clock. It was exactly 1 o'clock, 3 hours after I'd fed him last. And I was like, wow, thank you, God. This was my prayer. Let my kids not starve. So I say all of that to say random stuff for a podcast like this. But for me, it was so powerful as I look back. Because a lot of the time it can feel like the circumstances are so crushing, whatever it is in business, in life, in whatever. But if you can connect to a vision and a why, it will give you purpose and strength from I don't know where to push through even death if you have to. So there's nothing like having a strong sense of purpose, and there's nothing like having a why to help you succeed, to help you fight, to help you build that business. So I would say to anybody who's listening, if you're feeling like, oh my gosh, like how much more can you take with another lockdown or another what? Look up. Let me be the angelic presence to say, look up, find your purpose, find your why, and push through. Anything is possible for you. Anything.
I don't know where you got that strength, but yes. The big man upstairs was looking after you.
Yeah, it wasn't my time, it wasn't my time, but I could have, as I think about it now, I think I had a choice. I could have gone or I could have stayed. And I'm so glad I stayed. And a lot of the time, and the story is still being written now for all of us, I think, in this chaos we're in right now. But the choices that we make every single day, sometimes it might just seem so little. But it's when you look back, you're like, wow, that was a turning point,
Okay, thank you for sharing. Okay, how can we find your program and how can we work with you?
Oh, I'd love it if you come to connect with me at my website. So it's thefutureisgreater.com. And when you get on there, there's like a work with Maxine tab you can go to. And I think there you can click straight over to see if the membership is for you. Or if you wanted to explore one-on-one coaching on the work with us page, you can see how to kind of connect for that as well. So I'd love to hear from you and connect with you.
Thank you. So, clan, there will be more from Maxine in a moment. If you are listening on one of the many podcasting platforms rather than my website and you are encouraged by Maxine's journey, go to onlinesuccessjourney.com for a bonus portion of the interview. The Online Success Journey is a wonderful membership community built for people searching for the path to success. We are one big clan and you can be part of this community for free. Once you have joined the clan, click on part of Maxine's journey or over 250 plus other journeys that are available and learn how you can find the right path for your own online success journey. That's a wrap, clan. Remember, success is a journey. Patience and Maxine.
This is not the end of the journey. We hope you've enjoyed listening to part 1 and want to be sure you know there is a second part to this and every journey podcast at onlinesuccessjourney.com, filled with even more success tips, uplifting stories, and even a bit of fun. There are dozens of episodes only available to the members of the Online Success Journey clan. Check out the website and click on Join the Clan for more information. Patience would like to thank you for listening to this podcast, and she has a free audio gift for you at her website. Go to onlinesuccessjourney.com for instant access to this gift. Of course, you know that listening to the journeys of others helps each of us chart our own path. So make sure you're subscribed to be notified as each new interview is posted. There are so many ways to stay connected to the Online Success Journey and to listen in. And if you're enjoying the podcast, we appreciate your help in telling others. One of the best ways to share the benefit you get is to rate and review it at Stitcher and other sites by clicking the stars or completing the ratings form, by clicking thumbs up and leaving a comment on YouTube, or liking and sharing the podcast on social media. To review the podcast within iTunes, simply open iTunes to the podcast, click on Ratings and Reviews, then write a review. On behalf of Patience, and until next time, thanks once more for listening. It is our hope that this podcast will guide you on your own online success journey.